Monica. I'm coming at you with just a little bit of a semi-tutorial, I guess, for Valentine's Day. I am working on some of my Valentine themed jewelry cards. I have several already cut out here. I am using the template that I made, and I will put the link to that in the description box below. These are what you can fold over and hold your jewelry, your bracelets and things, similar to these that I made with the ATC cards, except I'm not using the whole punches that I just talked about in that other video. Also similar to like the Christmas tags that I did here. And it's got these little score lines that I've made, although you don't have to use them. I just include those for some. You would want to fold the inner one up like a tent, and then you're going to have these two outer ones pointed down, sort of like your fan folding. On the back side is the Handmade with Love. I've also got a price symbol here. If you order these files from me, you get both files where it just says Handmade with Love without a price tag on it and with the price tag. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. You can actually set it up on a table. Of course, this would be closed because it would be containing either earrings or some sort of jewelry. So I'm working to change out all of my Merry Christmas tags with my Valentine tags here that I'm going to be using for a Valentine's themed craft fair, and I'm going to be using it to hang on my board. Now I do also offer the option to have the kind of curved text down here. I have my website printed down there. I have that option, or your business name, that I can do for an additional fee if you're interested in those tags from me. I am actually using this Brothers ScanNCut 2 machine, and its model number is CM350. They make another one, I believe it's a 650, which apparently is pretty hard to get a hold of. It's a lot more expensive too. It's about $250 more expensive than this model. But I'm not a quilter or sewer, and I don't really need a gigantic mat. It's a 12 by 12 mat with a little bit of extra space here on the other side. And really, the biggest paper that I use are 12 by 12 scrapbooking sheets. And then the sheets that I make, where I make my own tags here, are 8.5 by 11. And for my purposes, that's all I really need in order to be able to get my tags cut out. And eventually, you know, if I make stamped images and things, those are going to be even smaller. So I did not feel the need to splurge the $500 to $600 for the next machine up. So the 350 ScanNCut 2 seems to be working out for me very well. There's a little pouch, and in mine, which if you buy it like I did, you're probably going to get the same thing, but it has the little, sort of looks like the blade there, but that's where your pins go. And this came with, it looks like a red one and a black one. Okay, so it will draw. I don't anticipate myself ever having to use that, because if I want any kind of color, then I'm going to have this pre-printed like I'm doing right now for my labels and stuff. But in the pouch, the pen tool and the 2 pins, along with the spatula and the little stylus, were all together, along with the machine and the cutting blade. Here is the little blade. When you first see it, it has this little white tip here, and you take that off. It should be on kind of the blank area here. It should not be on a number, because the blank area means that the blade is still in the unused position, which means it's up in here in this area instead of being exposed. In order to use your machine, before you put your blade into the area here, which is a round spot, you want to go ahead and select whatever depth that you want to use. Now, the higher the number, the further down the blade is going to drop. And it's not a really huge blade, it's a fairly small blade. However, it does the job to cut. Now, on regular cardstock, I usually will do a number 5. For my thin cardstock, the one that is the pearlized cardstock, I will do usually a 3 or a 4. On my sticker paper, I still kept it at a 5, which is what I normally use for regular cardstock, and I didn't have any problems. In order to situate your blade, you just have to turn the dial here, and you're going to be lining it up with this white mark here on the top underneath the word brother. So turn this to a 5, and then you're just going to put this down into the round hole here. Let it just drop down in there. You're not going to push it hard because you don't want to push the blade into the machine here. So you just let it drop down in there into its little house, and then you're going to push down the gray lever and it will click in place. And that's really easy. When you need to change your blade out, you're just going to pop this up and take it out of there, and then follow the instructions to change out your blade. And I haven't had to do that yet. And I know watching Maymay's channel, she says, I think she says it's been 2 years that she's had her machine and she has yet to have to change her blade. That is really good, especially as much crafting as she does. So that is your Blade 101 for the Brothers ScanNCut 2 machine. We did all of the Christmas tags and my You're a Gem tags. Let's see if I have some of those. Okay, I have some of the scalloped ones. They say, You're a Gem, and they hold everything in there. I've got the price tag on the back and my website on the back. This is the square tag version of the You're a Gem. This is holding a necklace, bracelet, and earrings. Again, the price is on the back for the total set. If you're interested in my You're a Gem square or scallop tags, or these Valentine tags, or even my Merry Christmas tags, you can find them on my website at www.sparklebymonica.com. I'll also leave the links below. These are the square tags here, and I used the McGill punch on a lot of those so that I could get a bigger hole here, since these were going to be the square option. And this is just an ATC card, so you can really make whatever you want to tag wise with ATC shape if you don't want to go the fold over tag route. But I really like the fold over tags because they hold a set of jewelry, a bracelet, necklace, and earrings very easily. As you can see, this is a really thick pearl set here with the bracelet and the necklace, and the weight of it and everything is held nicely with that one tag, and it's just paper. I love it. It also gives me an opportunity to be able to brand my website on that. I can also put the price on there if I want to. The ones that have my logo, that trifold deal, this is the one where I use those punches and I can have a necklace, earrings, and a bracelet hang from this. But you see, the amount of room is a little bit shorter on this, doing it this way. And that's still fine because I was able to get all the stuff at my first 2 craft fairs with just using these tags here, even doing the smaller folds. It's just a little bit more difficult to staple whenever you have a thickness up in that area. So to get an idea of what I'm talking about, here is a chunky bracelet, and I mean, it's like ultra chunky. Look at that. So this is my leaf toggle bracelet. It's got gumball size beads. If I wanted to do a necklace that matched that bracelet, it's going to be a little bit too chunky, too heavy for that. That's where having a tag system with these larger foldovers is a lot nicer. And also it gives you an opportunity to make holiday themed versions of those tags as well. So the boards and the eggs and all of that stuff can all stay the same color. It's my tags that are being changed out, which helps to bring the holiday focus in when I need it. Stuff on the top, I'm trying to get in the holiday vibe, and then the everyday jewelry will be here at the bottom. There's a lot of little marks here on it, so some little dotted lines and everything. So this is a 12 by 12 area on this mat, and what happens is you can put whatever your image is. Say you're just stamping an image on a little piece of paper and you just want to cut out that stamped image. You can put that anywhere on this mat as long as it's within the confines of the perimeter here, and then let the machine scan that in order to do a cutout. So this takes the place of having to take scissors and cutting out by hand, especially if you have an intricate image or something that, like I had these scalloped edges, and I don't know about you guys, but cutting out rounded corners with scissors is just a pain for me, and I have carpal tunnel, so it really is quite literally painful. I just go down with my fingers first, diagonally, so I'm sure I don't have any kind of little bubbles or anything. I'm going to take the back end of that spatula and just rub over the top. Now, this ink is dry. It's been a couple days since I printed these sheets, so I'm not worried. Even though this is inkjet ink, I'm not smearing any of my image. Now, this is also pearlized cardstock, which is a little bit thinner than your average white cardstock. As far as how I've got my blade set for thinner cardstock, which is this pearlized stuff, the 80-pound. See, it's an 80-pound. It's almost like a cross between a piece of paper and a little bit leaning towards cardstock. But it's 80-pound, and one of my YouTubers told me that because I took a picture of the package, it said 80-pound text, and apparently that's different from just your average 80-pound cardstock. So it is a little bit thinner if it says the word text for whatever reason. If anybody knows that reason, please let me know. This is a thinner cardstock, so I set my blade up here, my little blue blade. I set that to a 4 for this. Now if I was going to use regular cardstock, which is a little bit thicker, I would go ahead and crank that blade up to the number 5. The reason why I'm using the pearlized white is because my brand name is A Touch of Sparkle by Monica, and I do like having a pearlized sheen to my tags. Now I'm going to put this up here, load my mat. So I'm going to I'm going to load my mat. That's the first thing that you've got to remember to do, is load your mat. So even though you physically load your mat in here by sliding it in, you still need to hit the up arrow on the mat button to load it properly. Now scan, direct cut, the machine, recognition mode, I'm going to leave it on the black, and I'm going to hit start stop so that it can scan my goodies in. I hope you guys can see the screen. It just says scanning. So now it's recognizing. Alright, so there's my little tags, and here they are on the screen. So I'm going to say OK. And it's got the outline of all 6 of my tags first off. So I hope that I'm not going to struggle with this, but when I start to mess with the arrows is when I tend to have a problem. So I'm going to see what I can trim off. I think that's okay. Let's see what happens. Nope. It lost that. I'm going to hit this plus sign, because sometimes if you do that and run up and down a little bit, okay, and then back out, sometimes it picks the tag back up. So I think I just went too short on it. So let's try this again. There. Now I've got all 6 of the tags. Outlines are showing up. I'm going to say OK. All 6 of my tags are still showing up here on the outline. And so now I can say cut. And then I can hit the start stop button. You don't have to hold down this paper like I'm trying to do, especially if you feel like it got a good stick to it, but I'm finding I have less issue with worry if I just go ahead and do that, especially since it's not going to cause any harm to my paper or my design. Earlier today, when I didn't have enough sticky on the mat before I got my glue stick, the act of the blade cutting would actually dislodge the sheet from the mat and cause it to start eating the tag. If you're sensitive to noises, the Brothers ScanNCut 2 is loud. But if you are not cutting as many things as I am, then it's not going to be too much of a big deal. Now it says it's finished cutting, and I'm going to say OK. And it gives me that picture again in case I want to cut another one. However, I am not going to be cutting another one exactly on the same spot. Or even if I tried to, I might be off just a little bit, so it would only cut exactly right on that spot. It doesn't matter that I would have a new sheet of paper and I might be off to the left or I might be off to the right a little bit. It's going to cut exactly what is on this screen based on the marks on the grid that it previously scanned. Now I'm going to hit the home button. I'm going to say OK to delete all patterns. OK. I'm back to the home screen. I'm going to release from the mat here. So I'm going to hit the lower part of that, and it pushes it back out to me. This has got a light stickiness to the mat. However, I am finding out that it's not quite as sticky as I need. So I have been just using this from the dollar store. It's a glue stick, and it's meant really for like photos and paper crafting and stuff. It's washable glue, and it's not permanent. So I've just been kind of tacking where I need it on this mat, because some of my paper, as it started to cut in the machine earlier, it was pushing off my paper and caused a couple of my tags to get eaten up. I watched the video from May Made It, and I love her because she tells you all kinds of stuff, which is great, especially when you're a newbie. She uses, I think it's called Zig. I'm not really sure. I think that might be an author. I'll find out the name of the two-way adhesive stick that she uses, and I will put the link down below for that for you guys, in case you're interested in that as an alternative to what I'm doing here. I hadn't ordered it before, because this is only the second time that I've had to utilize this new machine, and I've just discovered the sticky problem issue. So I've got my little spatula, and I am going to flip it under here so that I can grab this up. Now, it comes up very easily, as you can see. That is the outline of all my tags. I'm going to do that same method under each individual tag so that I can just pull them up. Now, what I have found out is, and I don't know, maybe somebody watching this can tell me, I have a hole punch hole right here. And I was hoping that this would be able to read and then cut that out for me, since it does such a great job cutting out my tag. However, so far it's not doing that. Now, if I scan this in color, which I'm going to try on the next sheet of paper that I have, it might do that. Whereas right now, it's scanning in black and white, so it's just picking up my edges over here. I have another issue. Say you ordered this Valentine sheet labels from me, and it's going to have the header. See up here where it tells you the size, fold over jewelry tags, and then down here at the bottom is my little copyright statement with my website. You want to cut that off, because if you scan this through, it's going to pick up all of this text, and it's going to think, oh, you want that cut out too. Well, no, not really. So you can either try to adjust the preview by using your fingers to pull the little arrows down on the scan, or you can do what I'm doing and just simply cut it off. See these little arrows, and that's what I was talking about, being able to frame your image up. And what all that is doing is it's picking up the whole size of the mat, and it wants you to say, hey, is this what you mean for me to cut out? And if it is, then the answer is yes. However, I don't want to have all this white spot. So I'm going to start with the bottom arrow first. With my little stylus, I'm going to touch the screen, and you'll hear it beep, and you just start dragging it to wherever you think you want to stop. I'm going to do the upper left. And really, I don't have much to go, so I'm just going to bring in the sides a little bit there. Here, I'm going to do it a little bit more. Okay, so now I have got all the white space off, and I hope I'm not cutting anything off here, but let's say okay. It's recognizing what we just framed up, and because I'm doing it in color, I'm noticing it's taking a lot longer than doing it in black and white. So it's got an outline around here, and that is showing me, okay, this is what you want to cut, and I'm looking at it saying, yeah, it's got all 6 of my images outlines are there. But now notice the little hole that I was talking about is still not showing up there. So apparently that is just not going to happen, and I'm going to have to always just use my little hole punch. So right here you can zoom in, and you can go up, I think, like 800 in order to see up close and personal whatever you're trying to cut out. So you can really just scan up and down. It starts out at the 200 magnification, so 400 was all I needed to do. So I'm good with that. I'm going to hit the X. I'm not really sure what the ignore object size is, so I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to say okay. Now, if I wanted to do the inside and outside, I could hit this button, I believe, but I think, you know what? Let me try that. Oh, okay, so this is where you can do the fussy cut. Like if you want to do a little bit of a perimeter, you would hit this plus sign and you'd have a little bit of a white edge. So I'm not going to do that outline. I'm going to hit the cancel button. I'm good with this. This here is to change the shape if you wanted to. I don't want to do that. This here on the bottom. So I'm going to say okay. Now it's processing what it thinks that it wants me to cut. Now you have two options here. You can say draw or you can say cut, and I want it to cut. All 6 of my images are there. So I'm going to say cut. And it tells you it's going to take about 3 minutes to cut all this stuff out. And I'm going to hit the start stop button. Now here is where, because my board has not been all that sticky, see, look at it, it's moving it. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to say quit cutting, and I'm going to say okay. Now see how it pushed my paper off the board. So I'm going to take some of my glue and put on the back here of my paper, actually, not just the mat, but here on the white areas, it's in between the tags. So with this situation here, because I'm having to redo all this, I'm going to have to make it lose this previous scan, because I might not be able to find the exact spot that I had placed the paper before. So I'm going to just hit the home button. Okay to delete all patterns, yes, okay. Now it's back to the very beginning. I am just smoothing this down onto the mat. You're also going to have to back out your mat. You can't just jerk this out of the machine once it's locked in place, so that's another thing here. So I'm reinstalling my mat, putting it in here, hitting the upper arrow so that it feeds my mat in. So let's do this scan again. Direct cut. The ScanNCut canvas is apparently the software, and I don't have the software. I don't think I'm ever going to need it, so I'm just using the machine here directly. And then I still have it on color mode, which is fine with me. So I'm going to say start, stop. Let it scan. I got a little bit too short. And say okay. So if anybody knows about how to get these little holes recognized, let me know in the comments. Leave me a message, because I would love to find out. Everything looks good. I have a little bit of extra space on this side, but I think that's going to be okay. And I'm going to hit okay. I want to do the preview, so I'm going to zoom in. Yep, looks good. It doesn't look like I've done anything bad on the bottom, so I'm good. I'm going to say okay. So now we're going to say cut. Now here, I believe this is where you can select things to cut out. So maybe right here is where I could kind of zoom in and decide to cut certain things out here. So let's zoom in. Let's go 400. And let's see. Yeah, it's looking at the quadrant. It's not going to allow me to do a shape. I was hoping I could just get in there and do like a circle or something. Delete selected data. So now we're back to, I want it to cut out all of those images. Okay. Now it's saying 3 minutes again, so I'm going to say okay. So I'm going to hit the home button. Okay to delete all patterns. Okay. Now it's back on home, ready for me to scan again, but I need to get my tags off of here. So now I need to hit the lower arrow on the mat button, which is going to back out the mat. Okay, so it unloaded the mat for me, so now I can freely take this off. And this is where I'll get my spatula and go in here and release the border from what all it cut. If you have this Brother ScanNCut, this actually enables you to have multiples on one sheet of paper and cut them all out at the same time. So that is another reason why I like this machine. Now I do have a lot of dies, but as I'm finding out, the dies and having to lug out that ScanNCut machine and everything, it's a hassle. So if I can lug out this one machine here and I've got several on one sheet of paper that I can cut out all at one time, I like that idea. And then also I can get away from having to purchase those expensive dies and die sets, and then having to store all of those dies. This for me has been a very good investment because as a jewelry designer, I'm making these tags for myself anyway to hang my own jewelry from. Then I'm able to sell the digital file. But now, because I have the Brother ScanNCut machine, I can print out a whole bunch of these and then sell the actual printed out and cut out piece to other jewelry designers who don't want to print out their own stuff. I would want to be sure that I had a laser printer in order to get a better, maybe photo quality printout of whatever it is that I'm selling, or go to Kinko's, Office Depot, UPS, whoever's got those laser printers that you can pay to have them print out multiples of your files. It's going to cost you anywhere between 63 cents a page on up to even a little bit over $1 per page. You got to think of what's more economical. I have multiple reasons for wanting to kind of upgrade the equipment that I have, and I'm still going to keep my ScanNCuts and my die cuts because I can even use those to create die cut images and then apply them to a paper in order to create a scannable image for this then to start cutting out. My ScanNCut machine is wireless. However, I did not purchase the additional $50 wireless card because I don't ever anticipate needing to connect this to my network. I'm not going to be utilizing the Canvas software stuff as far as right now. My immediate needs are I already have a file printed that I need to scan and cut. Eventually, if I want to get into connecting it to the internet, being able to do this away from my computer where I don't have to plug directly into the computer, and I need to download images or fonts or whatever from the Brother software, the ScanNCut software that's online, then I'll consider the wireless card. But until then, I'm going to use it for this purpose here. Now, this ScanNCut machine that I purchased, I did get on Amazon. I'll leave a link to that below. I purchased it when it was on sale for I believe it was $229. Oh, it was $239. And I had some points because I have everything tied to my Amazon card since I shop there a lot. I had the Prime shipping, so I didn't have to pay for shipping cost. So for me, this was a very good buy. And then the week after I purchased it, which was right before Christmas, it went back up to $279. So I got a good deal on it. I did not purchase the wireless card. So think in terms of, as of right now, it's after New Year's. It's gone up to $279. I think they normally have this on for $299. So it's at $279 as of January 5th. If you are interested in purchasing it at Amazon, if you already have some points built up, double check that. That'll be a good way for you to get some money off. If you don't have any concern with being connected to the internet and getting the online software attached to your machine, then you can save that other $50 in not having to buy the wireless card. I believe that it's a really good purchase for me to make due to the fact that I'm making jewelry cards now and selling things at craft fairs where I really need to have some jewelry cards, whereas before I didn't. I had all of my jewelry in little baggies for themed holidays and stuff, but now I'm making these cards because they're hanging up on this lovely board. This is an economical purchase for my needs and will actually be a good investment towards my business. And that's also what I'm looking at as far as possibly purchasing a LaserJet printer. Out of about 20 sheets of these labels, I have had maybe 4 or 5 that have given me problem. So if I'm trying to do a rescan, like just completely backing out and totally rescanning it again, if that does not work, I am just going to do like where I minimize my arrows or I select images that only give me half of my sheet, let it cut out those 3, and then end that scan and end that project, back it out, take off the 3 I need, and then just use scissors to cut it in half. Then reattach the other portion, which in this case is the top portion here, and then rescan, and then it picks these labels up just fine, even though the first time around, or several times around when it was a complete sheet, for some reason these 3 didn't want to be picked up. Instead of getting all upset and letting it cut and make a mess of a couple of tags on your sheet, just try that little trick and that should help you. Whenever you get done with your machine, of course, you're going to put everything up. This cover just goes up. I would go ahead and remove the blade, put the little cover back on the blade. I have some Valentine projects that I'm going to be creating. I'm going to be involved in some, I believe, shower steamers and bath bombs, which I've never made before, so that ought to be interesting. And I am going to be making some more candy items that are Valentine's themed, similar to how I did for Christmas. So instead of hot cocoa and cider, I believe I'm going to do tea packets. So I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I will leave the links below to my labels. Wish y'all a sparkle-rific Valentine's Day, y'all. Bye!